back then to the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, of course, nestled just outside the wonderful city of Barcelona. A fantastic layout, fantastic venue under beautiful sunny skies there. As you can see, I think this was taken yesterday, but pretty much the same conditions today. Nothing to worry about in terms of rain, of course, for the guys out there. The only thing they need to worry about is being a little bit too hot because temperatures are soaring. You've been down in Parc Fermé, haven't you, Jack? And I think you can confirm it is very, very hot out there indeed.
Yeah, very warm indeed. For the riders out there, it must be extremely tough conditions to race under. Of course, these races are pretty long around here, you know, 15, 16, 17 laps-ish, that sort of range. And muscling these bikes around here is some hard work indeed. So then, we're ready to go for the third race of the billing today, and it is the Hawkers European Talent Cup. The race last time in Valencia, and this is what happened.
Yeah, a couple of races last time out in Valencia for the Hawkers European Talent Cup, and that was your front row. Joel Esteban, your pole sitter, and he's the pole sitter again. Once again from Uriarte and Sal Mella on the front row. Immediately it was Joel Esteban, as we've seen so much this year. Lead from the front, but it was a great battle. That was Max Martinez there with the white helmet, you can see, but the front four broke clear, and eventually it was won. 3 in a row there for Joel Esteban, who really is the start of 2022 so far. This was race 2 in Valencia. Great conditions down there, just down the coast from here. Joel Esteban again fighting with Max Martinez. That's Dodo Boggio and Casey Gorman battling away, but that's Brian Uriarte, the number 51. That was a mistake. Ran into the back of Guido Pini, and that cost him a chance of fighting for the win. Now, Joel Esteban crossed the line in first place. We thought that he'd made it 4 from 4, but after the race, he got disqualified from the race for a technical infringement. So it wasn't 4 from 4 in the end. In the end, it was a win for Max Martinez, the reigning European Talent Cup champion. 36 degrees air temperature, Jack. 51 degrees track temperature, only 2 miles per hour of winds. Incredibly tough conditions out there for these guys. Yeah,
quite hot, that. It might be too hot, to quote a famous line between us. But yeah, no, certainly pretty hot out there. Of course, all these young riders are incredible young athletes, so they're best well equipped to be able to deal with this. And this is your man that's on pole, of course, Joel Esteban, in incredible form this year. Technically won all 4 races. What is that he's got on his bike? Anyway, this is how he took pole.
Que sí, ya la 3 de 3 poles, muy contento la verdad, y más aquí hacer la pole en el circuito de casa, muy contento. No es un circuito que la verdad se me dé muy bien porque tiene muchas curvas rápidas, pero bueno, hemos estado durante estos días machacando bastante para poder hacer, bueno, para poder conseguir la pole y tener buen ritmo. Bueno, por ahora lo estamos consiguiendo. Ahora hacía mucha calor, hemos tirado las 2 gomas en la primera quali y bueno, ahora la goma ya tenía 5 vueltas y perdía un poco de grip, pero bueno, hemos arriesgado y bueno, nos ha salido bien. Intentaremos tirar, si vemos que podemos escaparnos, pues nos escaparemos. Y bueno, la cosa será, si no nos podemos escapar, llevarnos a los mínimos pilotos posibles para tener más posibilidades para luchar por la victoria. Mi compañero Dodo, la verdad que ahora ha hecho también una vuelta muy rápida y también ha ido mejorando poco a poco durante el fin de semana y ya se ha visto en esta quali. Y bueno, y a los de siempre, Máximo, Gorman, Uriarte.
Tell you what, Jack, if this isn't a circuit that he likes and he's on pole, then that's quite a scary proposition for his rivals, isn't it? And yeah,
look at that.
It's a little dancing cactus. I absolutely love that. I think we should have more on that on the grid because that's a good addition to the pole position, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe it's his little good luck charm. Yeah, it might be the key to all the first positions and pole positions. So certainly not too bad then, away from Joel Esteban and his dancing cactus. Sitting on pole. The mechanics are enjoying it as well, which is great to see.
Tell you what, if he wins, then I hope to see him doing a little bit of a dance like that on the podium. So we'll wait and see if we see that. Maybe if you interview him in Parc Fermé, Jack, you can tell him to do the cactus dance on the podium.
I'll have to ask. Here is a young Irishman then, Casey Gorman, doing a good job this season so far, but just needs a couple of solid results, really. Had a couple, well, a crash in Estoril, but then as you can see there, 4th, 5th and 5th, he's been knocking on the door, but we know that he's got the potential to get onto that podium. He just needs to find the extra couple of attempts that he needs, and starting second, it is his best qualifying position of the season so far by quite a long way as well. So certainly odds on that Casey O'Gorman could have a very good day today.
Yeah, we were catching up with Michael Abbott, who fronts up the Vision Track Racing team yesterday, and we were obviously talking about how well Casey O'Gorman's done this year, and Michael said, yeah, he's definitely one to look out for in the future, and of course now in this race and this year, because he's a really, really talented young rider as Casey O'Gorman. So British and Irish fans, look out for the number 67 this year and years to come, of course. We just saw Dodo Boggio there on the outside with the front row teammates of Joel Esteban. He suffered a crash in Valencia in the first race, which brought out the red flags, but he bounced back to finish on the podium. When he's finished, he's had podium finishes, but unfortunately for Dodo Boggio, he's had a couple of DNFs, so that's why he's just lagging behind a little bit in the championship standings, 5th. But when he's finished on the podium, so if he finishes today, then he'll hopefully, for his sake, be on the podium again.
Yeah, and kind of another man that's been on the podium, unless he's had some sort of DNF or crash or contact with another riders, Brian Oriate. Just 1 point score, and it was a 2nd place. So certainly very, very quick indeed, but a little bit further down the championship than where we'd expect him to see. But there's still plenty of races to go. So number 51 on the talent team Australia Galicia 00 bike. You can expect to see him climb the order from the 13th position he is in the championship at the moment. Here's another exciting young man, Rico Samler. I've got to say, we were out watching the track yesterday. Incredibly cool riding style, this man.
It was.
Incredibly cool. He's a tiny little fella, 2 podiums already this year. Proper little pocket rocket, really taking a good step up this year, and just looks awesome on the bike.
It does. We went down to turn 1, didn't we, which is always spectacular, and honestly the speed that they carry into turn 1, they're sort of braking about as late as they could. The last white marker you get on the side of the track, which is the braking marker for these guys, of course. And yeah, watching Rico Samela and a couple of the other quick guys was truly fascinating. We both looked at each other like, wow, that's
yeah.
seriously impressive for these youngsters. Yeah, Rico Samela didn't complete a lap in warm-up. Not sure why that was, but good to see him out there in the middle of the 2nd row.
Is Emmanuel Brinton then doing a very good job, the young Brit. Yeah, taking a massive step forward this year, and from his qualifying, he always seems to go forward. So, you know, best qualifying of the year so far in the 2nd row in 6th. So if he goes forward today, well, it could be a very, very good day for him. And certainly he's just one of these riders, again, that is just impressing and getting better in another year in this class.
Maximo Martinez then, really one to look out for. He is the reigning champion in this class. 3 wins last year and 5 podiums, and it was in Barcelona last year, his first podium year, that really kick-started his title charge. 2 DNFs in Estoril, both on the opening lap as well, 2 big crashes, so thankfully he walked away from both of those unscathed, and then an unlucky mechanical issue in race 1 in Valencia, but then benefited from Joel Esteban's penalty in race 2 over there. Was that Adrian Fernandez?
It was, Adrian Fernandez.
Max Martinez. So yeah, Max Martinez needs some good results now after 3 DNFs in a row. Of course, picked up that victory last time out, 25 very, very important points indeed, but he's down in 9th in the championship and already 50 points off Joel Esteban, the pole sitter. So yeah, the reigning champion with work to do and just needs to get points on the board.
Yeah, you saw Guido Pini on your screen there, number 93. Exciting young rider, this one, making a massive step up from last year. His qualifying has been great, and so is his races this year. He's qualified on the 2nd and 3rd rows of the grid every single time, and in the races he's been doing a superb job. A couple of podiums and a couple of 4th places as well. Just consistency and really impressive for only 14 years old. He's just another rider that incredibly already has taken that next maturity level to just dragging results out no matter the circumstances.
Yeah, he's been in the lead group for every race, hasn't he? Guido Pini, really, really impressive at the number 93. Now he's starting down in 8th position, which is worst qualifying of the year. But
yeah, 8th position in this class.
Yeah, exactly.
Is a good qualifying, you know.
Third row on the grid, middle of the 3rd row. It's, if you get a decent start, you're well in the hunt. So yeah, expect Guido Pini once again to be at the forefront of this race, as
in the zone.
Joel Esteban, yeah, gets in the zone. I'm not sure if he's hugging the cactus there or has it been taken away, but I think we're going to get a quick rundown of the grid before it's lights out for the only race of the day, of course, here in the Hawkers European Talent Cup in Barcelona, Esteban's home race, and it is the home hero. Joel Esteban starting from pole from Casey O'Gorman and Dodo Boggio. A very, very exciting front row indeed. There's Oriate, Sal Mellor and Brinton on row 2 with Max Martinez, Guido Pini and Carter Thompson on row 3.
Row 4 is Rios, Al-Sahuti and Boodley, South African there in 12th. Then Buchanan, Perez and Alcina making up row 5. Then on row 6 is Ferrandez. He was actually fastest in warm-up, I do believe, this morning from Danish, and Plonk. Then row 7, Garcia Miguel, then Garnes and Pereira. Then Ferrandez down there as well in row 8 for Mario. Trias, number 62, down in 24 from Aguilar, Daniel and Luciano, row 9. Then the final row of the grid, it is Fuertes, Panthaliakis and Grenfell, the Australian, down there completing our riders and runners.
This should be an excellent race. We've had excellent races all the way through this season. Joel Esteban was the runaway winner over in Estoril in those 2 races. In Valencia didn't quite have the same margin of victory, but did cross the line first in both of those. Obviously that technical infringement cost him the victory in race 2, but he's had good pace, of course, this weekend as well, starting from pole position, but it looks like the riders in and amongst him on the grid have just as good pace as well. So this should be a very, very interesting battle indeed, and we should mention the conditions as well. 33 degrees, air temperature at the top of the programme. Very tough conditions. The track's going to be very greasy for these guys, so it's going to make things difficult.
Yeah, it really is. We're getting to that point of the afternoon now where it's pretty much the hottest it's going to be all day. 1 o'clock local time, just 2 minutes until the race start. And yeah, it's pretty toasty out there, very scorched out indeed. So, you know, whether it's going to affect these guys too much, of course, it just levels the playing field for everyone. Everyone has to deal with the conditions. 33 degrees, you're wrong. 36 degrees centigrade, that is toasty. Almost into the hundreds for Fahrenheit. As you can see there, 124 degrees Fahrenheit track. I think it said 51 degrees centigrade for our English viewers. So yeah, it's mightily hot out here.
Yeah, I don't envy these guys at all, really. We're sat in a nice air-conditioned commentary box. Yeah, these
just do it at the window, couldn't we?
We could do it at the window, yeah. Not got the best viewing point at all where we are, but we won't complain too much. So down into turn 10 then on this warm-up lap. The popular passing manoeuvre, of course, we're going to see plenty of action, I'm sure, down here in the fight for victory.
Well, speaking of the fight for victory, Elliot, come on then. What's your... Well, let's not say winner, because there's one man this year that's been quite standout in terms of winning. Let's say, what's your top 3?
Oh, wow.
Hurry up, we haven't got long.
Yeah. That's really put me on the spot there. That could be a number of riders. I'll go Uriarte, Esteban and O'Gorman. There you go, just a rapid-fire top 3.
Very nice.
But I say that's probably going to be very wrong now, so I'm sorry to those riders if I've just jinxed them. But hopefully, whatever happens, we are going to have a fantastic race in our hands, and they do need to beat Joel Esteban. He got that disqualification, but he's
not been beaten over the line yet.
He's not been beaten over the line yet. So if in the only race of the day today, someone can get the better of him, it will just dent his confidence a little bit. If he walks away from here with a victory, then wow, 5, I'll say wins for the sake of the terminology, 5 wins from 5 really does set the scene.
Impressive in this class. It's such a lottery with winning these with the slipstream and how little power these bikes have. So yeah, 5 from 5. Incredible. But here we go then, the man at the back of the grid will wave that green flag momentarily. We can just see the last few guys pulling up to their grid slots, and we'll be racing for the Hawkers European Talent Cup in just a few moments.
Certainly will. Green flag waves then. Everyone all okay on their starting slots. The red lights will come on in the top left of your picture, and we will soon be go. Here in the Hawkers European Talent Cup, it looks like a great start from number 51, Brian Uriarte, from the second row of the grid. Dodo Boggio getting the best of it from the front row. Joel Esteban has to duck in behind Brian Uriarte, but it is going to be Brian Uriarte, by the looks of it, who's going to take the whole shot from the second row, unless someone comes up the inside. Joel Esteban does come up the inside. That was so late on the brakes from Joel Esteban. Thought he was going to run it in hot, but he absolutely does not. So Joel Esteban, after losing momentum from the start, dives into turn 1 and takes the lead on lap 1. Sensational stuff there from the number 78.
Yeah, brilliant recovery job already. Sluggish start off the line, but it doesn't matter. First into turn 1. Looked as though Uriarte for a second there was going to have a dive up the inside into turn 4, but no, there's Guido Pini on the black and yellow, number 93 machine. He's just behind the current champ, number 28, Max Martinez. He's got a little bit of a gap there, all the way up to the first 4 already. And Casey O'Gorman is in for 4. Martinez gone wide. Is that going to allow... Can't see who that was that nicked up the inside of him, but certainly Guido Pini did as well. So Brinton then, from 6th on the grid, back up into 6th or 7th, something like that.
Joel Esteban then, yeah, didn't get the launch that he would have wanted. Wasn't a bad launch, but he lost a couple of positions, but decided to throw it down into turn 1, and he threw it down and got it stopped. So absolutely fantastic from the number 78. But Brian Uriarte from the second row then, a fantastic start. And he's up the inside here down into turn 10. Is he going to make a move?
Oy.
He's in a good position to do so, but Joel Esteban runs it around the outside, breaks late and holds on to P1 there. So yeah, Brian Uriarte doing well so far, but the top 3 just breaking clear. Casey O'Gorman there down in 4th place with Pini in 5th and Max Martinez now in 6th place.
Shout out to Alcina in 10th. He's had a great start, up from 15th for the number 26, the young 14-year-old. So he's had a corker of a first lap, all the way up into those top 10s already. But then we're going to complete the first lap. Round turn 14 we go, and this is it. Slipstream City already. No, doesn't need the slipstream. Is he going to lead across the line? Maybe not. Dodo Boggio on the 47, the bright yellow helmet. Doesn't quite lead over the line. Uriarte from Esteban, 3,000 split them over the line for the first lap, but it does indeed look as though Joel Esteban is going to hold on down into turn 1.
Yeah, last of the late breakers, isn't he? Joel Esteban lost the lead coming out the corners of Brian Uriarte, but yeah, uses the slipstream well and just looks behind and he sees it's his teammate there. So Aspar 1-2 at the front, just what Joel Esteban would have wanted, just what the Aspar team, of course, would have wanted. No jump starts on our screen, so that's good news at the start of this race. As Casey O'Gorman then links himself onto the back of, well, it was Brian Uriarte. It's now Dodo Boggio, just loses out there to Brian Uriarte. So Uriarte doing the best he can at the minute to split the Aspar pair and just make life a little bit more difficult than they wanted it to be in these opening few exchanges.
Yeah, certainly going to be difficult for all of these guys at the front, because in ETC, all of these guys are very young and enthusiastic riders, and they're going to be making moves wherever they can. As you see there, Uriarte has a look down into 7, but no, not on this lap, chooses to stay behind for now. So Joel Esteban then up through turn 9, and you've got to say that Uriarte looks pretty raceable, doesn't he? Looks incredible already, keeping it tight there, leaning the bike over, trying to get up the inside of Esteban on the exit at 9, but no, going to tuck back into the slipstream as we head down into turn 10.
Yeah, the others just behind her just bring themselves back into it. You can see Guido Pini there on the black and yellow machine, just catching up to the back of Casey O'Gorman. So just making it 5-rider fight at the front, and Max Martinez there in 6th place isn't too far behind either. Just got about half a second to bridge. So yeah, in these early exchanges, there's no pulling away at the minute for Joel Esteban, but it's very early stage indeed. But yeah, Brian Uriarte, like you say, Jack, got a great start from the second row. Is he going to go up the inside at the last corner? Oh yes, he is. That's a great move from Brian Uriarte then. He will take the lead with 13 laps to go, but if I had a bottom dollar to bet, then I don't think he's going to be leading down into turn 1 with the slipstream coming into effect. That's tight down there, isn't it? Casey O'Gorman doing very well in the slipstream. Who is going to get the run into turn 1? It looks like from here it's going to be Dodo Boggio. No, it's not. It's going to be Joel Esteban once again, unless there's a outside manoeuvre coming from Casey O'Gorman, but there isn't.
Fastest lap then for Hakim Danish, and number 13 is on your screen there, down in 9th place. So this whole top 9, they are closing up, and even just more than that. I think Danish isn't the last one in the group at the moment. Emmanuel Brinton is, yes. So this top 10, they're all closing up together. Casey O'Gorman has a long look over his shoulder just to see how many, and he goes, huh? How many behind? So certainly lots of pressure on for these guys already. Massive group as we have 13 laps to go.
Getting a bit close there on the exit between Esteban and Uriarte, wasn't it? Uriarte's going to have the inside line. No, he's not. I thought he was just going to chuck it at the inside of Esteban there as Max Martinez gets busy in the pack. The reigning champion, as we've mentioned, he needs to get another podium under his belt at least to try and claw in. Obviously, depending on what Esteban does, of course, but needs to try and climb the championship ladder. But yeah, Brian Uriarte has made a couple of nice moves, hasn't he? Down into the last corner. We don't see that too often. We do see it sometimes, especially not this early into the race, though. There's plenty of other passing manoeuvres to be done. But yeah, Uriarte coming up with the goods so far, but Esteban is doing well to hold on to P1. Here is Uriarte then up the inside, but Esteban is good on the brakes. like we see there, just sweeping around the outside of Uriarte.
Just behind Max Martinez in that group is Paulo Alsina. He's had a cracking start up from 15th and really seems to be the one making rapid progress at the moment. If only he could qualify better. He's had lots of really strong rides already this year, 3 top 10s out of the 4 races, and if he could just qualify a bit better, we'd see him battling for that podium. But he's in the group, and that's where he needs to be. Look at that rocket ship start there from number 51, Uriarte. Squeezes Dodo Boggio onto the curb, and then down the inside goes number 78, Joel Esteban. Cuts the nose off the current champ, number 28, Max Martinez, through to the lead.
Yeah, that was awesome stuff there from Joel Esteban. Yeah, a few riders running wide there, having to cut the chicane, unfortunately. I'm not sure if they'll get penalties for that. If they didn't lose enough time, then unfortunately they will. That's getting it close there on the curb, but everyone's safely through there. So it's Joel Esteban there and still leading the way. Now Guido Pini is making moves. He's up into the top 3. We've seen this before, haven't we? Guido Pini, exceptional really season so far. Uriarte, yeah, very wide out of turn 3. He's in again, get under attack from the number 93. No, he's not this time around. But yeah, this shaping up to be a fantastic race, as it always is in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. Plenty of riders here. It's the cream rises to the top with a lot of the championship contenders in this battle.
So we've got a little bit of a clear distinction now then between these top 10 and the chasing pack behind, which is actually Ferrandez, the man that was quickest in warm-up this morning, number 54. He is in 11th, leading that chasing pack. So we'll see what lap times they can do to close in. Look as though last time around they were actually about half a second quicker than the guys at the back of this leading pack. Oh, that's a number 67 with Gorman. Gorman's got a technical problem. Looks as though he is out of this one. Not too sure who that was that had to take avoiding action, but we please hope and pray that no one actually collected O'Gorman. No, you can see him in the background there. Looks to be okay. Actually, it looks as though he's got running again, so that has ruined Casey O'Gorman's race. That is a shame for the young Irishman, looking incredibly good to pick up his first podium of the year. And just as we see one Vision Track Racing Team bike have some misfortune, so does another. The number 57 is down as well. That is Johnny Garnes.
I did see Casey O'Gorman look behind him coming out of turn 3 a lap ago, and I wasn't sure. Initially I thought, has he got a problem? But it obviously carried on. But yeah, it looks like there for Casey O'Gorman, a little bit of a mechanical or technical problem there with his Honda machine. So it did look like, yeah, he got back up and running. We'll see if he crosses line or enters pit lane. We can see a Vision Track Racing bike at the back there, which I think is Casey O'Gorman. So where is he going to cross the line? Yeah, he crosses the line in 24th place. So it does look like he's got the bike up and running, but a clear problem there, unfortunately, for Casey O'Gorman, who is in the podium fight, and he has been in the podium fight plenty of times this year already. So unfortunate there for the Irishman.
Yeah, lost over 7 seconds with that little technical hiccup on that lap, so that's a complete disaster for O'Gorman. Very unfortunate circumstances for him. But back to the front, the top 3 that you see there on your screen, Esteban, Uriarte and Boggio all ran their personal best laps on the race on that last lap. But Gonzalo Perez, number 25, at the head of that lead chasing pack in 11th, ran the fastest lap of the race, a 52.1 compared to the next quickest on that last lap, which was a 52.5.
Yeah, good lap there from Perez, then just down in 11th place at the minute. So work to do for Perez if he wants to try and get into the victory fight, which is right here. Uriarte still stalking Esteban. Is this going to go on race long? We've seen it before, haven't we? In Valencia, Brian Uriarte was second behind Joel Esteban, and then he made a mistake, ran into the back of Guido Pini, and it just cost him. Ran into the gravel and couldn't get the bike going again. Now he's going to look up the inside here, as he has done before. He does, but Joel Esteban is so good on the brakes down there into turn 10. Joel Esteban is very good on the brakes everywhere, in fact. So that just makes it doubly difficult for the riders behind to try and overtake the championship leader.
Yeah, that Casey O'Gorman moment definitely caused a bit of a rift in the pack, didn't it? We can see just behind, I think it is Guido Pini at the back of this group. Indeed it is. There's about a second of a gap now. We've just seen on the time screen, actually, that Casey O'Gorman has dropped out even further. So possibly that is going to be the end of the young Irishman's race. We'll see if he pulls into the pits or not, but that is a massive shame for the man on the Vision Track Racing Team bike.
Slipstream Shitty then. It was Uriarte leading across the line. But he's not going to lead into turn 1. That is going to be, again, Joel Esteban as Dodo Boggio, his teammate, goes up the insides. And that was Max Martinez just flirting there with taking 3rd place. So Max Martinez is where he wanted to be then. Started from the 3rd row of the grid, and he's got himself up into 4th place. And in the victory fight, as we mentioned, it's crucial from here on in that Max Martinez gets solid points on the board if he wants to retain his championship title. Winner, of course, 2021 title. But yeah, he's where he wants to be, and there he is, Casey O'Gorman, unfortunately then for the number 6-7 Irishman, and that is the only race of the day, unfortunately, so they've not even got a chance to try and make amends later on this afternoon. So the best qualifying of Casey O'Gorman's career in the European Talent Cup unfortunately ends with him having to pull into the pit lane. So yeah, unfortunate for Casey O'Gorman, but he'll be back out next time in Jerez, hoping to make amends.
What happened there? Did he just go wide, or did he have a problem? It wasn't too sure. It looked like he was looking down at his dash, but I think he's just looking behind to see for a little place to slot back into. So Joel Esteban then all the way down to the back of this lead group. Oh, does he indeed have a problem? What's going on? He keeps looking up as though he's looking at his dash, so maybe the same problem that has gone on with Casey O'Gorman's happening for Joel Esteban. I don't know. We'll see how he goes over the next couple of laps or so, but certainly something weird going on with the number 78, the man that has been dominating this championship so far.
Yeah, that's Nico Tirol looking on there a little bit perplexed as to what's gone on. Hopefully it was just for Joel Esteban's sake. It was just running wide down into turn 7. Let's have another look then.
What happened here?
Coming into the braking zone.
Just looked as though he got that wrong, but he sat it up, which was a weird thing. And it didn't look like there was anything suspect about how fast he was going into the corner or if he was wide. That was a strange one. So we'll keep tabs on Joel Esteban, number 78. He is still tucked in behind them there. So, yeah, an odd one, really. He's back up to 5th, actually. And it looks as though he's actually going to fire through to the win.
The first corner.
Look at that. Incredible. Fires through to the lead. Well, problem? Nah.
Well, that's just the class that Joel Esteban possesses this year, doesn't it? He was, down into 6th place, I think it is. Yeah, Guido Pini down in 6th place. Lost all those positions. He runs very wide there, though. Max Martinez up the inside. Will Max Martinez go for the lead? I don't quite think, or am I going to be wrong? No, Esteban again.
Sweeps
so late on the brakes and sweeps around the outside. So, yeah, it doesn't look like Joel Esteban has any sort of issue, which is good news. But, yeah, a strange one there down into turn 7.
Hakim Danish on the 13 and the number 54 of Alberto Ferrandez just in the background are definitely closing on this lead group. They're only 0.7 off the back of this group now, and they were about 1.1, 1.2 off the laps before, so they're certainly closing in. Certainly alarm bells time for those in this lead group, as it looks like this lead pack is about to have a lot more wheels.
Certainly is, yeah, just what we like to see, of course. Always close racing, as long as Joel Esteban can clear off his distance like he did in Estoril in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. A few riders there running wide at turn 9. We've seen that a few times today already. They've just got to be careful. If you do that 3 times, you'll get a warning from race direction, and then if you do it for a 5th time, unfortunately you'll have to serve a long lap penalty, as that's close there between the reigning champion and the current championship leader. So Max Martinez then hits the front with 8 and a bit laps to go. Max Martinez, crucial, like we say, that he gets vital championship points, as he's now 50 points down on the man 2nd place in this race and 1st in the championship. I thought Esteban was going to just return the favour instantly there at the final corner, but not this time around, because they know that it's Slipstream City down this front straight with 8 laps to go.
Yeah, so Max Martinez then, he's definitely got something to say about the man that's trying to pinch his crown off him. So leading across the line just about, but is he going to lead down into turn 1? Incredibly, it looks like he is. And actually, it's Guido Pini, the number 93 on the black and yellow machine, that slides up into 2nd. Esteban actually all the way moves down to 4th, and Uriarte up into 3rd.
Pau Alsina has joined the fight on the number 26 machine. There he is, the classical white helmet of Pau Alsina. Good job then for the number 26. Where was he on the grid? He was 15th. Way down the grid, wasn't he? Yeah, 15th. So fantastic from the number 26. And the number 25 of Alberto Ferrandez is also joining the fray. He was 16th on the grid. So this is a really, really cracking fight now. Joel Esteban has got work to do here. Brian Uriarte slots up the insides. Oh, plenty of bumping and barging.
How many lines through turn 5 can you take?
A hell of a lot.
We've got a 24-wheeler out front in Hawkers European Talent Cup. Rider number 3 has a track limits one, that's Pantelakis. He's all the way at the back, so that's not going to bother this front group. That's another one that's really wide. That looked like possibly Hakim Danish, but I'm not too sure. There's so many of them on the talent team bikes. It's hard to know which one is which.
Down into turn 10 then. What's going to happen this time around with 8 laps to go? Joel Esteban down in 3rd place. Max Martinez leading the way. Dodo Boggio just getting a little bit closer for company there on Guido Pini. Dodo Boggio, of course, has 2 DNFs already to his name, so he's another rider that needs to get some points on the board. He's finished on the podium every time he's finished, but that's only twice out of 4. So yeah, Dodo Boggio important for the bright yellowed helmet Aspar team rider to get points on the board as well.
Ooh, that was Joel Esteban just tapping the back of the tail unit there, saying, just stay behind me, we need to keep focus and stretch this gap back out, because this has closed up mightily in the last couple of laps. It's only 1.1 covering the top 12 here, and it was about 3 point something only 3 or 4 laps ago. So certainly these guys, all the battling they'll be doing has just slowed them down, really. That's essentially what it's done, and it's grouped them all together. We go about 5 abreast into turn 1. Number 25, Gonzalo Perez, up into 3rd. So the For Network Mir Junior Team bike strikes and comes into the podium places.
Yeah, we see that a lot, don't we? The riders just tapping on their rear seat unit saying, stick behind me, but when they're this young and this fiery and this determined, it doesn't normally happen. So unfortunately for Joel Esteban, I don't think the riders behind are going to stick behind you or want to stick behind you. But yeah, Joel Esteban then retakes the lead, and he is trying to stretch away, isn't he? Because the gap has just broken out there a little bit behind Brian Ariarte, as we see Pantelikis, the number 3 rider, crashing out of contention. Hopefully he is okay.
Yeah, this would be a fantastic result for number 25, Gonzalo Perez, if he can hold on to this podium here. Would be his first in the Hawkers European Talent Cup, and he's only had 1 top 5 this year so far. Oh, commentators curse. Oh, I'm so sorry. Gonzalo Perez, that is terrible from me. Got it a little bit out of control from turn 7. High-sided on the flick in turn 8, and the gloves had the flick as well. Hopefully he's all okay. Looked as though he is, just checking his hands. I think he needs a bit of a breather after that one.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate crash for Gonzalo Perez. The ultimate commentator's curse. Let's see what happens. Yeah, he just gets it a little bit out of shape then, coming through the turn 8 kink, and it was just a little bit too much, wasn't he? And unfortunately, he goes down the road. We're just going to get another replay here. The number 25, watch him getting it a little bit scurry out the corner, a little bit wide on the curb, and trying to flick it back onto the racing line. Just loses the bike from underneath him. Good to see he's okay. But yeah, clearly frustrated, of course, but the main thing is he is walking away from that crash. Yeah,
it's an easy one to do there. Of course, look, he's very frustrated as Gonzalo Perez. Very easy one to do there because he carries so much corner speed in through 7. It's incredible. They really have to haul the bike over to get it back for the flick right at turn 8. But what this has done, actually, is look at that. We've got a leading duo at the front now, which have got 1 second. That is an absolute epoch in terms of Hawkers European Talent Cup time. So these two, well, can they work together and actually break the chasing pack?
Yeah, well, that's what they might intend to do, and it's now important. Max Martinez is leading the charge on the number 28 machine. They've really got to box clever for the chasing pack if they want to have a chance for victory, because we know that Joel Esteban is quick around here, the pole sitter, of course. He has the pace. Brian Ariarte has the pace as well. So if they don't tangle with each other like these guys are doing at the minute, there's not really going to be much chance in the last 5.5 laps for the guys chasing down those top 2 to reel them in. Max Martinez leading the way at the minute, as we say, as another rider runs right there. That's Alberto Ferrandez, I think, on the number 54 machine. Yes, it is. He's done well to get up into where he is in 5th place from 6th on the grid. But the gap is, 1.2 seconds between Brian Ariarte's rear wheel and Max Martinez's front wheel. So the guys behind really have to be careful here.
Yeah, they certainly do. There is definitely risk of these two are just going to romp off into the distance right now. So certainly need to be careful. Max Martinez particularly, he cannot afford to lose any more points to the likes of Joel Esteban because, well, he's only got 1 point score on the board so far as the reigning champ, and he really, really needs the top amount, the full 25, rather than just the 16. So we'll see what he can do. 6 laps to go. Time is definitely running out. And it looks as though they set PB laps last time round, Esteban and Ariarte, and they might well do it again. We'll check as they come across the line.
Yeah, just checking them laps. No PB laps this time around.
But only a 10th slower.
Yeah, exactly. They're on the pace here, of course. They've only got the 2 of them to worry about at the minute. Now, Ariarte is up the inside of Joel Esteban, but as we've seen so often in this race, as we see there again, Esteban is so late on the brakes, so good down there into turn 1. We saw it on lap 1, didn't we, where he went from 3rd to 1st. But yeah, we need to keep an eye on this gap then, because they are squabbling. Look, it's difficult when you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 riders all battling for the same position to try and set the pace as riders who have just got the 2 of them to worry about. So yeah, this is dangerous territory then if they want to fight for the race victory for the riders here battling away. Dodo Boggio just getting mired down in the pack here. He's 6th across the line. He's a little bit lower than that now. So it looks like Dodo Boggio, the teammate of course Joel Esteban, his victory hopes look very, very slim now. The yellow crash helmet rider, he's 5th in the championship of course, and all these guys, well, they're chasing the number 78 in the championship, and they're probably looking at Brian Ariarte to say, can you do us a favour, mate, because otherwise Joel Esteban's going to clear off with this championship now. Max Martinez then, that's about as good as corner cut as you're ever going to get, so he needs to be careful there. That's exceeded track limits and a little bit more.
I'll tell you what, Elliot, one person I've only just noticed in this group, the number 24, Guillaume Plonk, doing an incredible job. This is a fantastic ride from the Frenchman. He had 2 crashes in Estoril, and a 14th and an 8th as he just gets his pocket picked by number 54 for Arandas up the inside of turn 10. But young Frenchman, this is an incredible ride. This is by far the best we've seen from him in ETC this year or last. It doesn't matter. He's doing a fantastic job. Good stuff.
Yeah, fantastic spot there, Jack. Guillaume Plonk in 5th place at the minute. Just had his pocket pick there, as you rightly mentioned. But yeah, great stuff. And I can confirm that these guys are losing touch slightly in this race. So yeah.
Yeah, he's up from 18th on the grid, Plonk.
Yeah, fantastic.
Fantastic. So here we go then. Across the line for, is it 4 or 3 laps to go? I didn't check the last time around. But anyway, 4 laps to go. Here we go. Joel Esteban, number 78, and Brian Oriate, 51. Still, look at that. With that buffer, and it is increasing. Guido Pini dives up the inside to now lead this group. A change of hands with the ownership of taking this one to the top 2. Let's see if they can close that gap down then. And it does look as though Guini sets his PB split through the first split thanks to that hefty dose of slipstream. So let's see what they can do as the rest of the lap comes around.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for these guys, as long as Joel Esteban and Brian Oriate don't make any real big mistakes, then their victory hopes are pretty much done and dusted, unless, of course, the likes of Guido Pini or Max Martinez have got excellent latter race pace, but I don't think they will have. But the riders know that that place at the front of this battle is the podium spot. So watch out for that freight train battling away. But yeah, the front 2 really have benefited from that crash, haven't they, for Gonzalo Perez. Unfortunately for Perez, of course, but they've reaped the rewards of Joel Esteban and Brian Oriate. So is Oriate just stalking Esteban like we saw in the Moto2 race, of course, with Lucas Tulovic and Senna Aegis just a little bit earlier on? Is he just working out where Esteban is quick, where Esteban might have a couple of weaknesses, or is Brian Oriate really on the pace? Turn 10, the infamous turn 10. Everyone gets around there safe this time.
Yeah, certainly. It looks as though the number 45 of Jesus Rios is getting a little bit busy there. You can see in the middle of that group on the bright blue bike there with the blue wheels. He is certainly getting busy. He's come up a handful of places in the last couple of laps. They're doing a great job there on the MRE talent bike.
There'll be 3 laps to go when they cross the line. Business end of the race for Joel Esteban and Brian Oriate. Brian Oriate only 1 finish so far this year. He's not even in the top 10 in the overall standings. But when he did finish, he was on the podium. So yeah, this is crucial for Brian Oriate. He knows just how far up the road Joel Esteban is in terms of the point tally in the overall standing. So this, for the number 51, chasing the number 78, is absolutely vital. And he's sticking with him so far. Joel Esteban said he's got good pace. He doesn't like it around here, would you believe it or not, but he's got fantastic pace at his home Grand Prix, or home race, should I say, home circuit. He is a Barcelona born and bred as Joel Esteban, so he'll be wanting to win here more than any other circuit, as the chasing pack are now 2 seconds behind. So this really is now a battle for the lead between the top 2 and a battle for the final podium place between this gaggle of riders.
Yeah, there's the man, number 18 on the screen there, Cesar Pria, that just set the fastest lap of the race. He's come up from 21st. Excellent. Pretty incredible, and he's all the way up into 8th, and it's looking like he could grab a few more if he gets busy here. So certainly some incredible rides here from guys that were buried on the grid, doing a great job to come through and side through to some solid points.
We should actually mention that Cesar Pria was actually meant to start from 2nd on the grid, but he was disqualified from QP1, I think, for a technical infringement. So yeah, Cesar Pria clearly had the pace in qualifying, and he's done very, very well indeed to make his way up into this group, fighting for the final podium spot. Oriate not making a move down into turn 10 this time around. I thought I saw Joel Esteban. Was he a little bit wide down there as the camera pans back out? I think he just caught a late apex. The good thing about turn 10 and the little bit of a king into turn 11 is you do run a little bit wide. You can bring it back for a late apex. So no issues there from what we saw anyway, Joel Esteban and Brian Oriate.
So 2 laps to go then as we come across the line for this time round. I think it's safe to say no one's messing with the front 2. Esteban and Oriate, this is a straight one-on-one dogfight between these 2. And it's a little bit like what we saw in Moto2 just about an hour ago. This is going to be one-on-one. Who will blink last? It's going to be an absolute corker as we go into the final 2 laps.
It really is then. So Brian Oriate now has to start making a move, starting to ruffle some feathers if he wants to win this race from Joel Esteban. He's not going to do it down into turn 1 for the penultimate time, but this is exactly what makes Joel Esteban so hard to overtake. He's so good on the brakes, and if you can't draft past him on the front straight, and even if you do and you're just ahead, he's going to be incredibly difficult to keep him behind. So Brian Orte really does have a job in his hands.
Yeah, he's going to have to get inventive and dive up the inside of him where he doesn't expect it. Maybe down into turn 4, but you'd think he'd be expecting it there. Or maybe you see him into turn 5 or turn 7. You don't know. He's going to have to give it a go somewhere because he can't sit behind him. And just watch Joel Esteban across the line first for the 5th time in a row this season. They really need to stick one over Esteban if they want to show that they're a serious contender to this crown.
Absolutely. So there, turn 5 then, that could be a move coming in for Brian Uriarte. This would be a brave one down here into turn 7. Not this time around, of course. They'll flick it right and then power up into turn 9. They'll round that. This isn't really an overtaking opportunity you'd favour. As we see Gabin Plonks, just dropping down the timing screen. So I'm not sure what happened there with, Pau Alsina and Gabin Plonks. It looks like they've crashed out of that group fighting for 3rd place. So, we'll try and get a replay and see what happens as Guido Pini then dives at the inside of Dodo Boggio. They're championship rivals, of course, and they want that final podium spot that currently is held by Max Martinez.
Yeah, it's an almighty scrap for that final podium spot, really, isn't it? But Max Martinez has just been at the head of it. There you go. There's confirmation. It was Guillaume Plonk and Pau Alsina that crashed out, number 24 and 26. That's such a shame. 2 riders that came up from lower grid positions all the way up into that podium place fight. So hopefully we'll see them next time out in a ref doing the same.
Here we go then. Last lap time, and Brian Uriarte is in the slipstream of Joel Esteban. It's now or never down into turn 1 for Brian Uriarte. Is he going to be close enough? He moves out of the slipstream to the right-hand side of Joel Esteban. He's alongside him. Who's going to be last of the late breakers? Brian Uriarte comes up out the bubble. Joel Esteban cuts his nose off. Late on the brakes there again was Joel Esteban. Brian Uriarte tried as he might, just couldn't get by there. So that's one passing manoeuvre place gone. We're going to come round into turn 4. It's another one.
Yeah, cleaned his nose off the whole job. That was fantastic there from Joel Esteban. Defends at one crucial place around this very long lap for these tiny little bikes. And there's another place gone. So we're counting them down. The final corners remaining, and Uriarte is running out of timing options.
Can he get a good run out of turn 4? No, he can get a good run, but not good enough. Joel Esteban doing exceptionally well here to keep Brian Uriarte behind. So that's turn 5 done now. Can he make a move into turn 7? That's where we saw the mistake earlier on for Joel Esteban. That's the Aspar team look nervously on. Not coming this time around. Well, not coming this lap at all for Brian Uriarte so far. Now they'll flick it right. Didn't get a good run out of there, did Uriarte. He's got to get a great run out of turn 9. Get it turned and get it stood up and get the power on as Brian Uriarte get tucked into the slipstream of Joel Esteban. Joel Esteban's going to hook the inside line. He goes defensive. Who's going to be last of the late breakers? Brian Uriarte on the outside. Joel Esteban doing incredibly well to hold the inside line. Is he going to run it wide though?
He's gone slightly deep through turn 10. Oh, and he's had a little mistake on the exit through turn 11. Is he going to drop it over the nose? No, he doesn't. Can Joel Esteban hold it tight? He manages to through turn 12. Only 2 corners left for Uriarte. He's going to have to repeat a famous move down into the final corner. Here we go.
Challenging in a Valentino Rossi. That's so close. It's not going to come though at the final corner. So now it's going to be a run to line between Joel Esteban and Brian Uriarte. Uriarte gets it stood up. Who's going to take the win? It looks like it's a great job. It's going to be Uriarte who wins. Pips it on the line by just under 1/10 of a second. Brian Uriarte is victorious here. Well, I thought he was.
Ignore that graphic at the bottom of your screen. That is the lap before. On our timing screen, it does say... Oh, wait, it's just changed again. So there is some confusion. We think it is Uriarte. There it is, confirmed. Uriarte wins by 14 thousandths of a second from Joel Esteban. Cracking stuff, that young man. Brilliant. Well done.
Excellent stuff. That was very close, wasn't it? Coming into the final corner. But Brian Uriarte, got tucked up behind Joel Esteban. Got a great one, and look at that. I absolutely love to see that. We don't see too many of that now, do we? Obviously, only one race today, so don't really have to worry about the engine too much this round. And Brian Uriarte wins here in Barcelona. Fantastic stuff from the number 51. Whew, what a race, Jack. Absolutely exceptional.
Yeah, hats off there to Brian Uriarte. That is fantastic and exactly what his championship needed. Full fat 25 points to go along with the 20 he already had from his one finish this year in Valencia. Up on to 45 points, and that will take him into contention in kind of those top maybe 5 positions. So he's certainly going to jump all the way up in the championship, and more importantly, he beat Joel Esteban in a one-on-one straight up last lap fight. That is a massive psychological advantage.
Absolutely, yeah. Joel Esteban will of course be disappointed to lose out on the line. by a slimmest of margins.
Yeah, incredible.
Thousandths of a second. Like, run to the line. We see it so often here in Barcelona, don't we? Of course, it's Joel Esteban's home race. He'll have plenty of family and friends.
Here we go.
Watch along with him. Gets the Spanish flag. Yeah, he's going to be disappointed, of course, as any racer would be, losing the win on the final lap on the run to the line. But second place, can't complain there for Joel Esteban.
Yeah, a little bit disappointed there when he got the confirmation. It was second, but oh well. Certainly a fantastic job still from Joel Esteban in that race. Led it pretty much the whole way, and just for the lack of a little bit better drive out the final corner, he lost out there by just 14 thousandths of a second. Max Martinez third. Don't know if he'll be disappointed or not. Obviously, you saw those two going for the win ahead of him, and that's not what he wants to see with him, essentially being the number one. Still has the 28 on the bike, but he is the number one in this category. Won the championship last year, and he can't be affording to lose any more points after a slightly difficult start.
Yeah, podiums is what he needs. He needs race victories, really, but if you're not going to be able to win the race, obviously the top two just broke clear of the chasing pack and eventually won another burnout. But Brian Uriarte, he's certainly enjoying that win, and so he should. Fantastic stuff in front of the grandstand there, just at the...
There's going to be nothing left of that Dunlop in a minute.
Yeah, hopefully they don't have to use that engine another time this season, because he's... yeah, giving it the revs. But yeah, fantastic stuff from Brian Uriarte. He won one race last year. He's back on the top step again this year as Joel Esteban rolls into pit lane. A hero's welcome from the Aspar team, and so it should be. As we mentioned, second place isn't what he would have wanted. The cactus is out. Maybe he won't do the cactus dance for us, unfortunately, this time around, but I'm sure he'll be on the top step again this year for sure. I think upon reflection, give it a few minutes, he'll be happy with that. Nico Terrell there saying, yeah, job well done. Just happens sometimes, doesn't it, when you're battling for the race win. You can lose out just by fractions of a second, and that's how it turned out. But Brian Uriarte done everyone else a favour, of course. If Joel Esteban would have walked away from victory here, then it would have looked like a very, very uphill task for the chasing pack. But Brian Uriarte has done the business here in Barcelona. Gives it the full beans again coming into Parc Ferme. Absolutely sensational stuff. The number 51. It was an incredible ride, wasn't it? And after, of course, the DNF in Valencia, after running in the leads, he's had the pace all year as Brian Uriarte. It's just a couple of DNFs have just enabled him to lose touch in the World Championship, in the Hawkers European Talent Cup Championship, sorry. So yeah, this really is now where Brian Uriarte's season could really kick on. They'll of course enjoy today, the Hawkers European Talent Cup riders. That's their only race of the day, and then they'll have a couple of weekends off and then get going. They'll head down to Jerez at the start of July. Max Martinez looks a little bit despondent with third place. Of course, he was in the lead group, wasn't he, from 7th on the grid, and then that crash for Gonzalo Perez just split up the leaders, allowed Joel Esteban and Brian Uriarte to just break clear, and then from there on, after the gap got to over a second for Esteban and Uriarte, it was very, very difficult with such a pack behind them to get to reel in for Martinez. But as we say, podium is a good job for the reigning champion. Here's a few replays then from the final lap. Thought Uriarte got the job done there with Esteban running wide, but of course coming round turns 10, 11, turn 12 is a right-hander, so for Esteban he had the inside line, had the racing line. No way through for Uriarte, no way through for Uriarte at the final corner, either turn 14, but he got his Honda 250 bike stood up, got the power down, and it was just enough to beat Joel Esteban across the line. Fantastic racing in Hawkers European Talent Cup. Sensational stuff, as it has been all year and as it will be for the rest of the season as well. 5 rounds to go. A long way to go in the title chase. Of course, Joel Esteban has been dominant so far, but he has been beaten. We mentioned before that he hadn't been beaten across the line. He got disqualified from race 2 for that technical infringement, but no one had beaten him across the line so far in 2022. But Brian Uriarte has done that now here in Barcelona, so it'll be interesting to see where Joel Esteban and Brian Uriarte end up at the end of the season. As we see, hopefully, a slow-mo replay of his nice little burnout. Yeah, we do. Lovely stuff there, and we'll be hearing from Brian Uriarte down in Parc Ferme with Jack Gorst. Right about now, there they are down in Parc Fermé. Let's go down to them.
So Brian Uriarte, incredible race victory after a fantastic last lap. Just talk us through that last lap.
The last lap was incredible because Joel made a mistake in the turn 10. I tried to overtake him, but I can't. And finally in the straight, with the slipstream, I overtake him. But the track was really slippery, really hot in the weather. For me, it's a special victory. And thanks to Monlau, the 150 win of Monlau. So for me, it's incredible and amazing. Thanks to all my team, my sponsors, my family, all the people who support me. Thank you.
And then just in Spanish as well for us, please.
Bueno, la última vuelta ha sido increíble porque Joel ha cometido un pequeño error. En la curva 10 intenté adelantarlo, pero no pude. Y bueno, finalmente la última vuelta por rebufo le pude adelantar. Y estoy muy contento porque esta victoria para mí es especial, ya que es la 150 de Monlau. Y para mí es especial esto. La verdad es que han realizado un trabajo increíble durante todo el fin de semana y quiero agradecérselo a ellos, a mi familia, a toda la gente que me apoya, al equipo. Estoy muy agradecido. Muchas gracias.
Congratulations.
Here's highlights then from race 1, the only race of the day here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, and it was Joel Esteban leading from pole position. He wasn't looking like he was going to get the whole shot, but as you can see from there, he dived up the inside down into turn 1. Last of the late breakers all day was Joel Esteban. There was Brian Uriarte though challenging him from the off, but Joel Esteban was able to hold it round the outside down into turn 10. As a freight train formed at the front in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. We saw Casey O'Gorman there in the lead group. He unfortunately suffered a technical issue in the opening exchanges after getting a good start from the front row of the grid. The lead forward had a bit of a gap in the first couple of laps, but that was soon closed by the chasing pack as Joel Esteban led from the front for most of the way. Brian Uriarte from the second row did a fantastic job all race. There's Dodo Boggio there, Guido Pini of course always in the fight at the front, Max Martinez the reigning champion as well fighting there. The top 5 then did break away, but because of all their scrapping and squabbling, it allowed the riders behind to just catch up. And there we saw a little bit of a mistake. Not sure what happened there with Joel Esteban. He ran wide down into turn 7, but he regrouped, regathered, and was soon back at the front of the race. Max Martinez took turn leading, but again, that didn't last for long. It was slipstream city down the front straight here in Barcelona, as we often see. And we saw there Joel Esteban taking the lead. Now, this was the crash then for Gonzalo Perez, unfortunately crashing out at turn 8. Clearly frustrated there, but the good thing was he was all okay. And unfortunately, that left, well, for the chasing pack, unfortunately, of course, that left Joel Esteban and Brian Uriarte with a good 2-second lead out front, and it all came down to the last lap. That was turn 10. Esteban running wide, and this was the run to the line. Uriarte got his Honda stood up very well indeed and pipped Joel Esteban to victory by 14 thousandths of a second, and a nice burnout to go with it. Brian Uriarte, the race winner in Barcelona.
Incredible job then by Brian Uriarte, absolutely fantastic. Almost blew my eardrums out down in Parc Fermé with that little burnout, but well deserved. Fantastic race victory there from Brian Uriarte. Just ahead of Joel Esteban in the end, 14 thousandths as we have said. And what a way to do it as well for the 150th victory of Monlau Motorsport. Of course, an incredible little organisation. Monlau Motorsport takes lots and lots of engineers, budding engineers, and turns them into Grand Prix mechanics. And also takes lots of young budding racers and turns them into Grand Prix racers as well. So certainly very good indeed. Max Martinez then comes out somewhat disappointing onto the podium for 3rd place, but it's more points on the board, and that's exactly what he needs after a difficult start. 2nd place, Joel Esteban, he's not used to that slot in 2022. He takes 2nd, and there's the man of the moment, Brian Uriarte. Fantastic victory for the number 51. Great stuff to see him get his first victory of the season. Of course, picked up 1 win last year on his way to 4th overall in the series as well. So certainly no stranger to how it feels to be at the top of the standings, or the top of the race victory and the podium. So here we go then with the trophies being presented. as we say, Max Martinez, slightly disappointed, but a very good ride indeed. Only unfortunate there with some of the moments that happened in the pack that the top two managed to break away. Of course, Gonzalo Perez crashed out of third as soon as he got into the third position slot. I'll apologise once again for the very efficient commentator's curse, which saw Gonzalo Perez fall victim at turn 8. Second place trophy goes away, Joel Esteban. And the first place trophy then, presented by Izan Guevara, the 2020 Moto3 Junior World Champion, to possibly a future Junior World Champion here in now Junior GP. We never know. We'll see how the season rolls on. We do have plenty of racing left in Hawkers European Talent Cup, and I'm sure that we will see him in the Junior GP in years to come. Here's the national anthem as well.
Okay, vámonos.
So that's the third race of the day complete then. And the only race for the Hawkers European Talent Cup. Of course, they'll roll on to Jerez next time out, which will certainly be quite a spicy ordeal, as we do have 2 races falling down in Jerez. Lots of fizzy water. Of course, these guys are all only around 14 or 15 years old, and already they're incredible little motorcycle riders in themselves. We do hope that in the years to come we'll see them in Junior GP and then make their way to the World Championship. And you can pretty much guarantee that most of them will as well, because it's where so many of our current championship winners, championship challengers, race winners, podium finishers come from. This championship really is a breeding ground for incredible talent. And you can see that a whole list of them. Look at that. Brian Ariarte then wins it by 14 thousandths from Joel Esteban. His first the first time of the year he hasn't crossed the line first. Max Martinez, Jesus Rios, cracking ride from him. Guido Pini, 5th, continues the consistency. Dodo Boggio, Alberto Ferrandez, Cesar Pria and Emmanuel Brinton picking up a good 9th place there for the young Brit. Hakim Danish finishes 10th in the end. Rouge Moody 11th, not too bad from him. Rico Samelo would have been hoping for slightly more, but still 12th is good. Points on the board. Luciano Alciuti Buchanan picks up the final points, the Kiwi, just ahead of his teammate Carter Thompson, the Australian, and then Miguel as well in 17th. Aguilar, Trias, Fernandez, Mario, Fuertes, Daniel, and then Alcina, who crashed out of the leading pack after coming up from, I think, 15th on the grid it was, down there, non-scorer. Guillaume Plonk as well, who he crashed out with, and Gonzalo Perez. Apologies again, Gonzalo, for the commentator's curse, but yeah. We roll on. And here's the championship standings once we give them another go. Hopefully they do appear and we'll be able to update you of just what they look like. There it is then, 95 points. The perfect streak is gone for Joel Esteban, already gone after that disqualification, but he did cross the line first. So 22 ahead then of Guido Pini's nearest challenger from Danish, Rico Samela, Dodo Boggio, Brian Ariarte, who jumps all the way up to 6th place. Max Martinez in 7th now on 41 points. Alberto Ferrandez and Casey O'Gorman, the luckless O'Gorman, finishes in 9th place on the standings. Jesus Rios, Emmanuel Brinton, Paz, Sina, Gonzalo Perez, Cesar Pria, Rouge Mouli, Carter Thompson and Guillaume Plonk down in 17th on 10 points. And then completing the championship order, Lorenz Luciano also on 10th from Blind Trias, Marc Aguilar, Marco Garcia Miguel, Jose Mario, Hamad Al-Saouti, Adriano Donoso and Christian Daniel, the American, down there in 25th with 3 points. And completing the order, Johnny Garnett, the young Brit, who had he crashed out of that when he did from Cormac Buchanan. So there it is then, the number 51. He picks up his first race victory of the year. When he finishes the race, he gets on the podium. 2nd and 1st places are his only finishes of the season. And a cracking way to do it. Just 14 thousandths at the line. The number 51 is going to threaten the number 78 all the way in this 2022 Hawkers European Talent Cup season. Brian Ariarte is your winner.